How are you guys? Welcome back to Wargaming China. And my last video got under 100 views, but I got over 20 likes. So if you've watched that and pressed like, thank you very much. I appreciate that. We're back at Yuwang Mountain for the epilogue of my game, where the Japanese 10th Infantry Division is attempting to cut off the forces of Lai Zongren that are retreating from Suzhou. Now, the Battle of Yuwang Mountain lasted from the 22nd of April until the 19th of May, and on the 15th the Yunnan army was relieved and replaced by a 150th Division. But it had done its job. The Japanese were halted here, and in my game I had decided to give the Japanese 4 possible routes of attack. This way, straight up the mountain, to take Pizhou, or to attack straight up the corridor. And this is what they rolled. They rolled a 2, and they got to attack straight up the corridor. And that was probably the hardest task of all. But with 3 infantry battalions and 4 250mm guns and 5 75mm guns in support, it was doable. I set the game for 12 turns, and it lasted until turn Japanese turn 10, when their morale failed. So this was a victory for the Yunnan army, and it was a very good game, very enjoyable, although it didn't give me a chance to put as many surprises into a game as I like, because I'm a solo player. But still a very good game. It went 10 turns. The Japanese decided, as the Japanese decided, that the town of Pizhou was not to be the objective, but was occupied by the Chinese. The Japanese decided to put 1 battalion on the outskirts of the town, in the forest on the outskirts of the town, roll for observation, and when they observed it, just to keep peppering away at it and pin the 3 companies that were in Pizhou down. After a while, it did take them a while to get to observe them, but once they did, this building returned fire, and the 2 companies that were in it were absolutely annihilated. This company didn't return fire, so it had to be rolled for observation, and the enemy failed to observe it, and failed to observe it, and failed to observe it. Then the armoured car moved forward and failed to observe any occupants. So I took it as if the Japanese would believe that the town had been abandoned, especially as I sent some trucks this way. It would have visually appeared, plus with probably failed about 5 turns of observation tests. So the Japanese thought that this part of the town was empty. At that point, I then decided to filter through here. Now, there were 6 minefields on display, but 2 of them were dummies. I put 2 real ones here and 2 real ones here, but the 2 over there are dummies. The Japanese infantry, the every battalion, started here and moved forward, but there was just too many mines, anti-tank ditches, all slowing the Japanese advance down, on all stopping movement, and then being hit by the Chinese SMP, 75mm SMPs, and my sole 81mm mortar. So the battalion that had advanced here, by turn 8, it finally fell to morale, but it had lost 60% of its over 60% of its forces, and that left this battalion here and one truck-borne battalion. Now, I did give the Japanese two truck-borne engineer companies, and I put them in these vehicles. But with the minefields and the barbed wire, it was a lot of work for them to do, and they were finally annihilated by turn 9. At the end of Japanese turn 9, the Chinese turn 9, there were no more Japanese engineers, but they had broken through the final anti-tank ditch. But by that time, their losses had been too high, so I threw another morale test, and they failed. No offensive action, which means they would bowl back to their starting positions and retry tomorrow. So a Chinese victory today. Well earned Chinese victory. And as I said, the battle lasted from April 22nd until May the 19th, when Suzhou fell to the Japanese. And this battle, I don't really know if this battle marks the end of the Suzhou campaign or the beginning of the Wuhan campaign. There would be one more amphibious landing to do for the Suzhou campaign at, if I can remember the name of it, it's Lianyungun. I'm considering doing that, but I'll have a look at the forces. So this is basically it for the Suzhou campaign, and as I said, some historians will say this marks the beginning of the Wuhan, and others will say that it marks the end of the Suzhou campaign. Although, as I said, there are more conflicts in the Suzhou campaign. But as always, all the historians always never quite telling any of this history. So I just try to show you, I try to shine a spotlight in a broad way so that I can give you as many interpretations of this war as possible, and then finally my understanding. So if you like what I do, you should subscribe. If you haven't subscribed, you should. You should share my videos to help my channel grow. Obviously you should press like. But I'm actually pretty happy with the channel. I haven't had that many subscribers since I last asked, but we'll get there. We're coming up to, we're over 170 videos now, so it's become quite a testament to how you should wargame the War of Resistance against Japanese aggression in China from 1931 to 1945. So I hope you like that. We will be seeing the Yunnan Army again, but not for a while. We'll see it at Changsha, and I'm mulling on what the next game will be at the moment. I don't know. I'll see how my mojo goes. The anti-tank gun, the 45mm anti-tank gun, destroyed one tank, and then every piece of Japanese artillery zeroed on it, and it was gone. I did have put a 20mm Oerlikon in this building, but it got the light damage on that Hargo before it was destroyed. And then the only other anti-tank weapon I have now is the 13.2. So if the Japanese morale hadn't cracked, it would have gone very badly for the Chinese, but that's how that's how wargaming is. With a little bit of luck, and a couple more turns would always change the game. Alright, well I hope you like that. That's it from me. I'm gonna clean this table up and think about what my next game will be. And until I see you then, see ya.